Hello and welcome. My name is Tom Lelio. I'm your ultimate jet guide, and welcome to the Jet Life podcast. Today, we're continuing our cold calling series. And so, if you're joining us live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, X, Instagram, and the TikTok, I want you to go ahead and drop any questions that you have regarding private jets, regarding selling private jets, regarding cold calling, regarding sales, regarding marketing, whatever it is. I'm your ultimate jet guide. I'm here to help you out. And so today, showing you the pulling back the curtain on the glamorous life of a private jet broker as we continue searching for another Citation 5. That's right.
And another one.
Another Citation 5. We already got one coming to the market that was, I don't know, it was probably about a couple years in the making. And yeah, we're just looking to bring another one to the market. So that's what we're cold calling today. If this is your first time joining us, like I said, drop a comment on the in the description. I'm sorry, drop a comment below and ask any questions that you have regarding selling private jets, regarding what's going on. How you lead gen boss, Krishna Aduwan, what's going on? Happy to answer that question for you. Lead generation for the private jet owners comes from a database that we have. It's kind of like an MLS, if you will, for realtors. So we're just cold calling the owners themselves. What up, Anna? How you doing? Khalid Khan, what's going on? A Maddie Zero. We got seeing an aircraft sale in the house. Krishna Adahawan. Like I said, Jet. We've got a database that we use that helps us to find leads, people to call. So that's the latest and the greatest there. So while we're talking, as you know, I'll be talking with high net worth individuals. So I will be playing some videos for you guys if you're joining us on anything but TikTok, and you can check out those videos while we make the phone calls. So with that, the phone call is ready to load up. Any questions you guys got, throw them in the comments. I'll answer them throughout the power hour, which is the next 60 minutes as we call through $2 million jets. Can we get one for sale? Appreciate the salute. Thanks, Saeem. Thanks, E. We'll catch you.
Pass around. It's like the talking stick in kindergarten. I love it. Hello, welcome to the Jet Life podcast. My name is Tom Lelio. I'm your ultimate jet guide, and today we're pulling back the curtain on private aviation when it comes to networking and frequent flyers, aka young professionals in the aviation business. We've got Eric, we've got Luke, we've got Danielle from GLADA and the Frequent Flyers program. Guys, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Yeah, GLADA's a group of primarily brokers, but we have all types. You know, we've got the maintenance programs, salesmen from them. We get together at every one of these events all over the country, whether it's
this one
Las Vegas or
private
White Plains, just to talk about what we're working on, trends you're seeing in the industry. And give advice, take advice.
Danielle, there's something special about GLADA that differentiates it from any other groups out there. What is your experience with?
I would say GLADA is such a tight-knit group. Most of us know each other. We utilize communication and fly. That is the way that it sets us in. Upper part, I would say, to stay out of the way to directly communicate with each other at all times. It's a really tight-knit group. And that's how we started Frequent Flyers. Most of the people that have benefited in the city, they've known each other.
I love that part about GLADA. I agree. You know, it's not an organization that you sign up for. You see them monthly or quarterly or something like that. Daily, we're in the Slack channels, we're connected with each other, and sometimes it's just congratulating with each other on a deal that's closed. It's asking questions. If you're a newer broker, you're like, hey, how do I import an aircraft from Canada into the United States? You can get an answer there. So it really is a valuable resource, and it's very accessible compared to other networks that are out there. You don't have to be an established business and have all these credentials. You can be just getting started and ready to take that next step into your aviation and invest in what the membership dues are. And the other thing I like about it is the fact that brokers, salespeople are connected with other aspects of aviation. So Eric, you're part of JSSI,
right.
which does everything from maintenance tracking with the recent acquisitions, air tracks, all the way through the actual programs for the engines, the ACUs, and the airframes, and that sort of a thing. So what's the value for you as someone who's maybe not in the sales department for the actual asset itself, but coordinating and collaborating with other disciplines?
Well, I mean, having that network of individuals across the industry is it's huge. Know when aircraft are delivering,
know when an aircraft is now on the market, and kind of knowing when you can
Crickets on
insert
that
yourself
one.
into the conversation and pitch a maintenance program. It's huge to have those ways, definitely.
So over the holidays,
This is
2023, we were
GLADA.
selling a Citation Bravo on the West Coast, and wanted a JSSI buy-in. And we're having trouble off for the holiday. It's it's hard to find anybody between the 25th and the 31st. Because of the Frequent Flyers and GLADA and my relationship with Eric and JSSI, I was able to reach out to him, and he moved it along at a rate, and we were able to complete that process, get the buy-in done prior to the transaction closing, which helped us get it. It would have been pushed to the beginning of the year, and then kind of defeats the purpose of a year-end closing.
Danielle, you kind of alluded to the idea that the Frequent Flyers program was created because there were some unique opportunities and challenges that young professionals in aviation were facing, and this was a way for them to connect. Can you speak a little bit more to that? Like, so what are some of the struggles that you've seen, maybe mistakes that you've seen professionals make in their first year that the Frequent Flyers program kind of speaks into and helps them overcome?
So I'll probably first go back to a point that you brought up in the beginning. It's snap employees. So
for a moment.
that is one of the biggest reasons why we started this, especially coming straight out of college or some people straight out of high school. They don't have a huge network like somebody who's been in the industry for 30 years. I think when I first started, that was something that I had to really work on, getting myself, feeling comfortable with just going up to somebody and taking their hand, introducing myself. Also to mention, as a woman, this is a very male predominant industry. Walking up to a big group of men and just not feeling scared. It takes a lot of practice. But you have to put yourself out there.
I'll say the heels help.
Standing at about 6 feet.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to what Danielle was talking about graduating from school and really trying to establish yourself and your own personal brand. When you graduate from school and you get into the aviation industry, nothing is really handed to you. And I think at the end of the day, a lot of people want to do business with people that they like. And so establishing your own personal brand is huge, and kind of working up the courage to, like Danielle was saying, to go into a room where it seems like everyone has their own clique, and you've got all these relationships that are already formed, and you just kind of have to go and insert yourself into conversations and really kind of forge your own path in the industry. Having Frequent Flyers is an easy way for young professionals to get together, and I'd say in a comfortable setting, and have them network with each other without the fear of being judged, or they're just starting off in their career, so it's good to have like-minded people who just recently went through that.
Yeah, for sure. Eric, I think that's a great point that you bring up, the value for young professionals and getting involved in something like a Frequent Flyers. So yeah, I appreciate you guys putting that together. So, well, Luke, you said you had something to say to add to that.
Yeah, just kind of to outline what the Frequent Flyers, what our goal and purpose is going to be. We're going to hold quarterly teleconference calls via Zoom, where we actually bring in those members. The first one will be with Tom Flynn, who's the chairman of GLADA, sitting there for 30 minutes to an hour with people that are our peers age-wise, and then having somebody that comes in that's very experienced, explain the issue, and we can ask questions without the fear of sounding uneducated, and then just learn and grow our own portfolio. And then we're hoping to do an in-person event. And then we have a third kind of forward-facing wing of Frequent Flyers. And I'm going to turn over to Danielle to talk about that.
And that would be our philanthropy portion, which is the Embry-Riddle Scholarship. So we have a term scholarship that will be awarded to a student every year in the fall semester. Able to award the first one.
So what would be one piece of advice that you would give someone who's trying to get into it, or they're entering into their first year?
Immerse yourself in it. I mean, you'll take advantage of an internship opportunity. Maybe it's not the company you want to be with, or maybe it's not the the specific field in business aviation that you want to be in, but kind of going back to what we were saying about networking and growing this this whole network tree of relationships. Everyone can be a stepping stone to you, so get yourself into it, absorb as much knowledge as you can. from the different parts of the industry.
Going to events like this, walk up to people, introduce yourself, learn, get business cards. Even if you're just a student, make sure you get business cards. And when you get those business cards, to make sure the following workday that you are sending follow-up emails and beg for internships. You know, a lot of people are going to say no. A lot of people, especially if you don't have experience, but just keep asking. Eventually, one will hit it.
Good.
You know, not being scared, just putting yourself out there, ask questions, and immersing yourselves in groups like Frequent Flyers. NBA AA has opportunities, and there's other ones for people under the age of 40 that just don't have the experience and the relationships that we all are.
Don't take yourself too seriously.
Definitely don't do that. Should never have a moment where you're not learning something either. That's right. You're selling aircraft or selling maintenance program, and you have an hour.
I bought last year.
Pull up a
See if he's ready.
Gulfstream
to sell.
650 brochure and read every single spec and performance number. I mean, it's just, you never know what that's going to matter.
All right, guys, so thank you so much for being. Where can people find out more information about GLADA and the Frequent Flyers program?
On the GLADA website, start there, especially if you're not a GLADA member. Go check them out, see all the benefits that you can have. Shout out to Christine Blair. She can literally answer any question that you could possibly think of when it comes to GLADA. As far as Frequent Flyers, we do have a LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Always a good time with the GLADA people. Let's see what other videos we got going on here. This is a good one if you're looking.
When I first got hired, there's probably like a 2-week thing before I could start, and I was itching to learn more, but I didn't know. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know where to go. So I tried Googling, and they wouldn't even tell me like markets and stuff, so I didn't know how to pick a market, how to choose a market, where to go, how to organize all this stuff. If I had known that stuff, then instead of just sitting around twiddling my thumbs for 2 weeks, I could have been building a market research thing. And because it doesn't take, I don't need to know much more than just give me a market to research, because if you're joining a brokerage, right, they probably have an idea of what market they want to. So here we have controller.com. Do you see my screen? Okay. So we're going to look at jet aircraft. Now, if you know what you're looking for, you can use it up here, or you can just kind of go Cessna citation or type in, PC-12, and it'll give you some options, or, Gulfstream, and it'll start giving you options. But for now, we're going to go to jet aircrafts, and just so you can kind of see how they work. So this is like all the jet craft for sale. As you can see, they've got 1,400 listings on controller. So we can go to manufacturer, we can go to the year if you only want to do 2000s, we can go price point.
Oldie's going, man. Let's get
all different things that we can try.
4 or 5
you can even go by listing type for sale.
Just gotta put the head down and make those phone calls.
And yeah, however you want to do it. So we're just gonna start. Let's take a look at the citation Excel market. And so if we look at the Excels, we see there's 9 listings, which is good. It shows that there's a couple of listings. If we go through, we see Jet One's got one, Fly Alliance. They're a charter company. I just happen to know that, but just for fun. It might be worth, I guess my point being, it might be worth Googling these guys. Vertical Jet Sales, Bel Aero, Wheels Up. You've heard of them. Wheels Up, Vertical Jet Sales, Valor Jets, good company, and George McFarlane. All right. So what's interesting here is, we see Wheels Up has a few, because, and you wouldn't necessarily know this starting, but thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, go to circle.jetlifeaero.com and check out our online community for aspiring brokers and current brokers. Here you'll find discussions, all thing aviations based, things that you're going to want to know as an aircraft broker. You can also check out our free training, as well as more resources that are available to help you to become a better jet broker. That's circle.jetlifeaero.com to begin your journey within the broker community, absolutely free. they own a bunch of Excels because for their charter company. So now they're getting rid of them. So that's interesting. So charter companies are going to start dumping these, which is going to be interesting for the overall market. And then we saw vertical jets got two Excels listed. So, but there's no clear player here where it's like, oh my gosh, they've got, 30%, 50% of the listings here. So this might be an opportunity. Let's click on this Excel. Okay. So we see it's a 2000. And what we're going to do is we're going to take all the information in here and put it into an Excel spreadsheet so that you can organize all your data. So you're going to want, the year of the make and model. You're going to want to put in the registration number, the serial number, and these are all the different columns that you make on your spreadsheet. So I'm going to put year, I'm going to put serial number, registration. I'm going to put my airframe total time. I'm going to put, if it's on an engine program, I don't need my make and model, but I'm going to put my engine time and my engine cycles in a column, engine 2 time and cycles on a column. I'm going to put my APU in a column. I'm going to make note of avionics. I'm going to make note of additional equipment. I'll put that under just a general notes section column. I'll note when the interior, exterior were done. And then I might have like another column that says where it's based out of and who has the listing. But these are all columns that I'm going to make, so that I can organize my data. And let me see if I have it. Can you see what do you see? Do you only see the trailer right
in the
now?
house.
Okay, so
What's going on, buddy?
I'm just gonna
Good to see you, man. Appreciate you stopping by. Hopefully this is encouraging you. Just got to be making those
So
coldies.
let me share
Even
this
if you
other
don't feel
screen
like
with
it.
you.
Even if you got allergies, if you got a headache, if you're sleepy,
And I'm just
right? You still got to make those calls to smile and dial, man. Just turn it on.
Okay,
when
so
someone
this would be
answers
an
the phone.
example of a
Hello,
market
what's up?
report. This is
What's going
old.
on? It's
I'm pretty
Tom.
sure. I don't remember the last time I updated it. So here's my rows: year, serial number, registration number. I choose if it's on the market or off market. So if this was off market, I would just choose off market. And this gives me a list now of everything that's available: airframe total time, asking price. If there's specific modifications, so for example, this one is what's called the Citation Excel. I believe Eagle, if I remember correctly. And basically what they did was they refurbished the entire thing. They upgraded the avionics to the Garmin G5000. They gave it brand new paint, brand new interior, and it's a different animal than the ask price. So I don't want this to impact my general market pricing, right? So for example, in the 1SP market, if you have a Citation 501, there, let's just say $500,000. If you have an engine mod on there, it could be $1 million. So I don't want to throw $1 million number into the mix, and then all of a sudden my numbers are all messed up. So if you're dealing with a market that has a specific modification
appreciate
that would change the pricing by $500,000 or $1 million, I do an extra column for the ask mod. That's why I do that. Avionics, I just want to know the basics. So when you're going into a market, you're going to look and try to see, okay, what avionics does it have? What are they calling out in the description avionics wise? Let's see. Nothing up here. Down here, we want to look at the big thing is usually going to be the comms. Okay, this is the Honeywells.
Hey there, James. My name is
Navigation,
Tom.
the GPS.
It's just Tom Lelio with
These are
Jet
pretty
Life
factory. When
Aero.
you
I
start
just wanted
seeing
to
things like
reach out,
Garmin,
going through the Citation
Garmin's
560 mark
usually
and got Romeo
an
listing pulled
upgrade,
up
at
on
least
it.
in the
Well,
Excels. But we don't
you
know
guys
just by
cut me
looking
out
at
real
this
quick.
one
Not sure if it makes sense
listing.
for
We
us
have to
to
go
connect
back
or not, but
to the Excels.
I
to
represent a
see,
group that's got a couple of citations
okay,
currently
what are
listed,
people
and,
calling
like
out?
I said, I
And
got
so
some
you'll
notes
just,
on
for
Romeo with me.
now,
Thought,
in your
wanted to
column,
see
you'll
if you
just
guys might
add
be opposed to
everything.
having a brief
And then you'll start to
conversation
see,
about
you
bringing
know,
it to the
you'll
market in
start
the
to see
new year.
outliers.
Would
So
love to help you
most
out,
of
let
these
you
have
know
a
what the
Primus
market's doing,
1000.
what
Okay.
Romeo with
Okay.
might
And
bring
then
to
if
the
they don't, they
table,
have a Garmin,
and answer any questions to help you make an
Sharp
informed decision for what
G5000.
to do
So
next.
now I
Again,
can
it's Tom with Jet
see
Life Battery. Calling
visually,
back at
okay,
941-241-2682.
most of them have
And just so
Primus.
you
So
know
now
who you're
I'm
dealing with, you
learning
also
what's the
find me
basic
on YouTube
avionics.
at
Even
the
though,
Ultimate
so
Jet
if you
Guide,
had a
and
database, it would
would
tell
love
you.
to
And you can
connect
also
with you
use
if you guys
Google and
have any
Wikipedia
plans to
too,
make a
by the
change
way.
in the near
Like
future. Have a great day.
that's a valid way to do this. So if you wanted to just go to Citation Excel, actually I would do this, Citation Excel Global Air. Great website. So if we go to Global Air, this will give you your base, your
All right.
base information. Here's how big the exterior is, how big is the interior,
Next.
how many people.
We
Here's the
rolling and we
operating
rolling and we
weights.
rolling and we
The
rolling. What up,
biggest thing you
TikTok?
want to
E,
see
you
here
still
is
here?
payload with full fuel.
What's
What
up,
that
dog?
means is when you fill it up with fuel, how much can you put in the aircraft? 960 pounds. That's your pilot, your co-pilot, your bags, your passengers, 960 pounds. If you put more than that, the plane's going to struggle to take off. So what does that tell you if you put full fuel in this thing and you only have 960 pounds left? I mean, you're a pilot. So what does that mean to you? And it's right. Right. So even though it can fit 7 passengers in the back, there ain't no way 7 adults only weigh less than 1,000 pounds plus luggage. So we have to start making trade-offs. So if the range, right, if the max range is 1,800 nautical miles, and you're like, oh, good, I can go from Naples to New York to Maine, no problem. Well, this max range is really kind of based off of like 2 pilots, and then it can go hard because you're not taking up room for. Yeah, it's based off of only 960 pounds of payload. So if you have more than that, now we're looking more towards a 1,400. So this is giving you basic data points. It's not gospel. As you know, like a lot of things can change, but this, if you're brand new to aviation and you just don't know what you don't know, I would Google, Citation Excel or whatever, make and model, and Global Air, because they give you this nice little layout. Distances, the balance field length. What that means is the kind of runway, how much runway it needs. So if you're looking at
what a terrible call.
Somebody who wants to buy an aircraft and like,
Bad.
yeah, I have my own private.
So
I live in one of those flying
not
communities,
for
and
sale.
we've got
Good
3,000 feet of
pitch.
runway. Guess
Bad
what? Your heavy jet's not
response
gonna
to
not gonna make
RDR.
it. Your mid-size, this is a
Well,
mid-size. Your mid-size jet's not gonna make it. You don't
gotta
have enough
get
runway.
better at that.
There's your performance. Not super important. I would say the normal cruise speed is mostly important. Because when you're comparing makes and models, if you're looking at the Excel versus a Hawker versus a Falcon versus a Learjet, your cruise speed is where you're gonna kind of talk apples to apples. Like, well, the Lear goes, 450 or 470 knots, and this thing only goes 433 knots. It's almost 10% faster than the Citation. That's why they call it the slowtation. Okay, well, maybe the knots matter because you're going far, or maybe they don't matter because you're not going that much further. And when you actually do the math, you're going to get there 3 minutes faster in a Lear versus the Citation. And other things that you like about the Citation outweigh the things you don't like about the Lear. So that's what you're going to compare makes and models with. You're going to compare cruise. You're going to compare the range. You'll compare the field length with makes and models. You'll compare the capacity sometimes. You'll also compare the size of the cabin sometimes. Then, of course, the power plant is the engine. That's important. And then, Global Air also does a pretty good, description down here, of what the deal is. And then it evolves into the XLS and the XLS Plus. So now you can go look at those. So this is how you learn about a given make and model. And then you can also go into Wikipedia. Again, to get basic stuff. So they do a great job when it comes to specs. So a few things you're gonna, beyond what you're learning here, the other things you're gonna wanna specifically Google so that it makes sense to you would be citation Excel, avionics. So let's see if it tells us what they do in here. Oh, here's an overview. But you're going to want to know, look, a comprehensive review. This is great. You know, some other brokers have already done, you know, the work for you because they're trying to educate their buyers because they're good brokers. I mean, this goes all the way into World War II. So, geez. Yeah. So we want to know the avionics. We want to know the engine time before overhaul. That's going to be an important question. How many hours can I fly my engine until I have to take it apart and put it back together again? Because when I go back here and I look at the engine, it says, okay, it's got 8,000 hours. And if you know the TBO on these is 5,000 hours, so you know there's about 1,800 hours remaining on here. And then you got to take the whole engine apart and put it back together, which is very expensive. So now you know the value of the aircraft. You can go back to your list. Here we go. And look at the engine times. And oh, look at this one. This one's close to 10,000 hours. So it's going to get overhauled first. So if it's under programs and it's going to be paid for, that's one valuation. If it's not on program and you're going to pay $1 million for it, that's another valuation. So now we're starting, but you don't know, again, what you don't know. So that's why we want to look up, engine overhaul, time before overhaul. We could also do citation Excel, large maintenance items, or maintenance schedule could be. Okay, here's great. This is great for the Textron from the manufacturer. Let's see. Schedule maintenance items every 800 hours, looks like. Citation maintenance schedule is another one. We could also do document inspections or inspections, actually. So here's the doc 1, doc 2. And it'll tell you, here's the interval. So every 2 months, every 2 years here, every 4 years, complete inspection. Doc 8, every 2,400 hours. So we want to know, and these are all, again, things you can Google. So we're going to be Googling, inspections, make and model inspections, make and model maintenance, make and model engine time before overhaul. We're going to be Googling avionics. We're going to be Googling upgrades. Okay, and just see what pops up. Oh, some get to the G5000. Oh, some add winglets. I don't know about that, the Excel, but some do an engine program. Sorry. Engine programs is another one to look at. So what are the different engine programs available? So you're going to want to do those Google searches to find out more about the listings. So this is how we put together this. Okay. And you want this to be able, you want something like this in order to become knowledgeable about the market. You're going to learn, you're going to learn what are the inspections. You're going to learn what the average asking price. Right now, the average asking price is 4.5 based on this, $4.5 million. So when the average year is 2001 and the average airframe time is 8,800 hours. So when you call someone, you're like, hey, sir, I want to sell your jet for you. Oh, tell me what the market's doing. Oh, sure, no problem. Well, right now on the market, the average is a 2001 Excel with 8,800 hours on it, and they're asking 4.5 million. And it's about a smattering of some are G500, some have the factory Primus, and most of these are on programs. Okay, great, no problem. Your aircraft, sir, is a 2003. It's only got 5,000 hours on it. You got a Garmin 5,000 on it. That's fantastic. You're on programs, brand new paint, brand new interior. Yeah, man. I mean, I would definitely put it out there for something maybe close to $5 million. Let me take a look. Oh, here's another one. Here's one that's kind of like yours. It's a 2000 and 2002. It's asking 5.8. They've got the G5000. The seat was recovered. Single point refueling, aft flushing lab. It's on JSSI programs.
Hello.
You know, it's a nice one. They're asking 5.8. You know, yours is a little bit newer. This thing's been sitting there for a little while though. So, you know, where the current market is, maybe you want to be at 5.5, but we can list it for 5.8 if that's kind of what you're looking for. And, you know, then we start to have a conversation. And I don't know that much about the Excel market, but I knew enough that when I put this data in, I can look at the data and shoot from the hip and sound intelligent about it. Now, if you really want to get into it, you know, if you go into the 1SP market, well, okay, now I can talk to you. Yeah, this is the one in Texas. This is the one that doesn't have air conditioning. This is the one that they were asking 2 million just 6 weeks ago. Now they dropped it to 1 million. Something must have happened on a pre-buy. It was under contract, yada, yada, yada. Now I really know the market. Okay. And so it comes down to your ability and your dedication of getting those details so that you can be speak intelligently about it. Again, and you don't need a database to do all this. All the stuff I said, you know, Google, Global Air, Wikipedia, and that's it. Now let's go through. And what we're going to do next is we're going to go through some definitions of what you're going to see on a controller ad. So it makes a little bit more sense to you because it can be like reading gibberish. But before I do that, do you have any questions or comments? Great. All right. So we'll take a look at, you know, we've got the photos, seller information. So Fly Alliance is the sales team. We can go to view seller information, which will show you all their listings. So if you take a look here, okay, Excel, Express, XLS, G4SP. So they're mids and heavy jet brokers. Okay. Sometimes you go into, you know, view listings. So let's go here, view seller information for Jet 1. They've got 5 listings: Excel, Encore Plus, Encore. So yeah, they're citation guys, you know, as you can kind of see here. So it's just, you know, just information about the brokers that you can find. So year, you've got manufacturer, model, serial number, registration. If it's every single aircraft in the United States will be a November registered aircraft. If this doesn't say N at the beginning for November, then it's out of the country. So C would be for Canada, XA or XB is going to be Mexico, F for France. I'm trying to think of a couple other ones. If it doesn't say N, if it doesn't start with an N, then it's not a US based aircraft. And that's not a bad thing. It just is what it is. And I just want you to be aware of that, because sometimes you go into a market and you're like, oh, wow, there's 6 of these. And you find out, well, 3 of them are in South Africa. Well, they're not necessarily viable candidates, or you need to take that into account when you're doing a market overview and evaluation. Airframe time. This is, you know, the amount of time that the airframe has been flying, these amount of landings that this thing has been doing. Now, again, a landing, takeoff and landing would just be engine turn on, engine shut off. So sometimes it's referred to as cycles. And this is basically like the amount of trips it took. So obviously, you know, if every trip is less than or more than an hour, the cycles of the landings can be different than the airframe time, right? Because if you're flying 3 hours, it's 1 trip, that's 1 cycle. So yeah, so certain maintenance items might be due per time or hours or per cycles. That's why that's important. I don't deal with the cycles too much, but you will on the bigger jets, because they're going further, right? So on a light jet, you're typically going 1, 2, maybe 3 hours away. But on the bigger jets, you could be going 3, 4, 5 hours away. So that multiple starts to make a bigger difference. And that's why some of the maintenance items for the airframe or the engine might be just based on cycles. Some notes on the airframe. Part 135 is code for, it's a charter operation. Part 91 is private use. If it's on a charter operation, has more stringent maintenance items that need to be done, record keeping that needs to be done, and that sort of thing. So you will pay a little bit of a premium for a 135. Just because it's on a 135 doesn't mean a buyer will pay more for it. It depends how much you're going to be asking for. And then camp maintenance tracking, that means that there's digital records so that you can easily review the items. Did I miss it? Okay, this one doesn't have it. Let me go back here. So this is big, and the other one didn't have it. The description. A lot of information can be found in the description, so you want to read the description. So you kind of have to filter through it. So this is okay, great. Okay, so this is an ownership opportunity with their managed fleet. So basically, these guys want to sell it, but keep it. So they want you to pay for it, but they'll keep it and manage it and try to offset your costs. Turnkey, okay, new paint and interior. Sometimes they'll put that in there. Here's the highlights. And it's fully enrolled on ESP Gold. So these are kind of the things you'll start noticing things. Hey, why do they keep saying Garmin in the description? Why do they keep saying new paint and interior in the description? Why do they keep saying Textron? What is Textron in the description? Why do they keep saying ESP Gold or Pro Parts or Power Advantage? What are these buzzwords, these keywords that keep popping up? And so you can figure it out on your own by just doing a Google search, or for you or anybody else working with a broker, just ask, hey, Tom, don't ask every time you do write down your questions. Tom, I saw they kept talking about ESP Gold. What is that? Great. Let's go. Like, that's fine. Let's see. Okay. So that's just something. This one is talking more about the Jet 1 program than it is about the Jet. But yeah, let's go back here. So we did the airframe. Okay, engine program. This is on JSSI. An engine program is basically a insurance program where you pay per hour to the manufacturer or a third party, in this case, third party JSSI. Let's say $200, $300 per hour per engine, so that when it comes time for the overhaul, you don't pay anything out of pocket. You already paid that up front. And so a question to ask is, how much is the owner paying for the engine program? And are there any deferments? Because if there's a deferment, then you're gonna have to pay money when it comes time for an engine overhaul. And I'll show you an example of that. Do you have any questions on the engine programs? Yeah. Let me find it. Where is it? Yeah, this is it. Okay. So this is a Citation Jet. They have engine programs. This is on a program, but you see here it says TAP Elite Deferred. So when this thing needs a hot section, which it will need a hot section in about 800 hours, 1,000 hours. Yeah, not 800, sorry, 1,800 hours, because the TBO is 4,000. So it'll be due, a hot section is like a midpoint. So you're going to pay $200 per hour per engine. But when it comes time for the hot section, you're also going to owe the engine company $250,000. Because somebody, when they got put on the program, usually what happens in this situation, the aircraft was on a program, it got taken off the program. Somebody flew it around, and then the next owner said, I want it on the program. So they go to the manufacturer or the engine program people, and they say, hey, I want to put this on your program. And they're like, great. In order to get started on the program, you need to catch up on the bills that weren't paid by the guy when he wasn't on the program. Because how they get the program is they basically say, okay, it costs us $1 million to overhaul this engine. Great.
Man, my
this
reading, I'm
engine,
trying to
so
figure
we
out.
do
But
$1 million. This
whoa,
engine has
whoa.
4,000 hours to fly before it gets to
Off.
an overhaul.
Ryan, what's going
That's
on? He's talked a little.
$250
Yeah,
an hour.
exactly.
Does that make sense? Where I'm getting $250
Just
an
got to
hour?
get the words out, man. Sometimes I had some
Okay.
really bad ones
So
today
if you
so
fly
far.
it,
So
for
that's a picture
2,000
of-
hours, take it off and then fly, and then it flies 1,000 hours, and now you're at 3,000 hours. You did not account for 1,000 hours, right? Because you took it off the program. So what they do is they're like, okay, well, in order for the math to make sense, you owe us $250,000 because no one paid for those 1,000 hours yet. And so the new owner's like, well, I don't want to pay that right now. I just bought a plane for $1 million. I don't want to spend another $250,000 on a thing where it still has 1,000 hours left. I'm
I
only
need
flying
water.
100 hours a year.
We're back.
I'm not going to keep this thing for 10 years. Why would I pay you guys $250,000 when I'm not even going to benefit from that? You see that? So what they're like, so the engine program will say, okay, no problem. We'll defer the payment. so that whenever that gets to that time for the do the overhaul or the hot section, whatever, we'll just put it on the owner at that time. So the current owner's like, great, okay, no problem, because it's not going to be me. Well, guess what? When you go to sell that aircraft, we got to tell people, listen, somebody deferred some payments. It's on you. So if you're going to fly this thing up to, in this case, 6,000 hours, because it'd be 4,000 plus 2,000. If you're going to fly this thing for another 800 hours, you're going to need a hot section. And at the time of hot section, you got to pay TAP Elite $250,000. So what is?
And we're back.
Yes, an overhaul, you take the whole thing apart. Hot section is you look at the hot section part of the engine. It's not as invasive, so it costs roughly half.
Gotta stop eating at this place by
roughly.
me. It's just.
But the hot section might be coming. They defer
Every
the payments of
time
the
I
next
eat
major
there, I'm
event.
just like,
The hot section is
bleh.
still considered a major event. So
Afterwards.
So what do you think that does to the valuation of this aircraft? If the whole Citation jet market is 1.5, 1.6, 1.7, and you know that the next owner is probably going to have to pay $250,000 because we're talking 800 hours. I mean, that's 8 years. If you're only doing 100, maybe some guys want to fly 200 hours a year. That's 4 years. So what does that do to the value of the aircraft? Well, it drops it compared to the rest of the market. That's why this guy's asking 1.195 when the rest of the market's 1.4, 1.5, 1.6, 1.7. So we went a little bit into the weeds by talking about engine programs, but it's important to know, especially if you're going to deal with a body, an aircraft that has programs, which most will if they're after 2000.
These last three were operators, brokers,
and especially if they're heavy jets or mid jets, they will. Okay, so we're in the engines. Here's times, here's cycles. Same thing. There are some maintenance items that go by engine cycles versus time.
What up, TikTok? Anybody got any
Engine.
questions?
So
Let's get some
as
questions.
you know,
Come
an
on,
engine's
guys.
not just one big ass thing. It's multiple components, impellers, blades, just tons and tons of stuff that I don't get into or understand. But you'll want to know the cycles for some maintenance items. And again, you'll look into Google and be like, what are the big maintenance items? Like, what are the big, upgrades? What are the big airworthiness directives and service bulletins that people need to be aware of? Landing gear inspections is another thing. Avionics, you're going to make note of this. Okay, Honeywell EFIS displays. When you have finished 870 EFIS displays. Here's the autopilot. Sometimes they change out the autopilot. Additional equipment, they've got Wi-Fi. Notes on the interior, just paint an interior. Has it been stored in a hangar? That's always important. Any refurbishments to the cabin? Where's the aft located? That kind of a thing.
Work with a group that currently has a couple citations on the market, and after reviewing some notes on yours, I just called to see if you'd be opposed to having a brief conversation around putting it on the market. We might be able to help you out. If that could be of value to you, give me a call. Your convenience, David, 941-241-2682. I do appreciate your time. Have a great day.
To things like the avionics
and you met Ted?
Air conditioning.
Gold starting windows. That's from. What up, Chuck? Chuck Bergen in the house on the tickety talk.
Is literally an auxiliary power unit so that you can do things that
to answer any questions
require what's called a GPU
regarding
or a
private
ground power
aviation,
unit,
regarding selling jets, marketing jets.
Plug your aircraft into an outlet.
What do I think about King Airs?
To do it without the GPU and being hooked up.
King Airs are fantastic birds.
This will have its own maintenance cycle. This can be in program, so like it says, it's enrolled in MSP Gold.
We got another broker that's working in the King Air market.
When it comes to programs,
I've got a nice C90
offer different benefits
available for sale. I'm just looking for the right buyer.
You want to
Perfect
know
plane for the right buyer.
What's MSP Gold
1.55
versus JSSI versus ESP or whatever else is out there.
A lot of good stuff. Have to go with it. That's what I think about it.
MSP Gold, MSP Silver. You're going to want to know that stuff just again so you can speak intelligently about it. Avionics here, we've got a little bit of a bigger, these guys putting more details out there. The is usually one of the big things. Again, the primary flight systems. This one's got Wi-Fi with the GoGo ATG 5000, and look, 2002 interior exterior. So that adds more value to the aircraft as well. Yeah, that's pretty much it as far as like a glossary of how to read a controller ad and why they're important and how this impacts the valuation of it. Again, when you're first starting out, just put all the information in here. Put the year. Let me go back to the Excel. Put the year, put the serial registration, put it that's on market, put the airframes, put the ask price if they have it. If they don't, you got to make a phone call. Put the avionics in, put the engine times in, put the maintenance items and the features, like when's the last, what's it on, or when's the last inspection been done. Put the APU total time in there, and just type in other notes.
And another one.
And another one.
Voicemail.
I mean, this is a great example of things people should be doing if they're interested in becoming a jet broker, and then joining our circle community.
If you're an aspiring private jet broker, go to circle.jetlifeaero.com, join the community.
Go do a market report, go do market research, and then go ask a question.
And ask any questions in the community, in the app, even if I'm not live. And this is the thing about being live, though.
Learn from
the chance to ask me a question, pick my brain. I'm here to answer the questions
really
for you.
To have things,
it's like office hours. You know what I'm saying?
Because that's where your contact information starts. But this is stuff you should be doing before, before you join, before you get started, before you start paying money. If you like doing this stuff, if you don't like doing this stuff and finding out the details and putting in that hard work of becoming knowledgeable in a thing, then you're not ready for this. Because you need to be intelligent, because you're speaking to high net worth individuals. They deserve your respect. They deserve that you honor their time and you know what? When I first got hired, there's probably like a 2-week thing before I could start, and I was itching to learn more, but I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know where to go. So I tried Googling, and they wouldn't even tell me like markets and stuff, so I didn't know how to pick a market, how to choose a market, where to go, how to organize all this stuff. If I had known that stuff, then instead of just sitting around twiddling my thumbs for 2 weeks, I could have been building a market research thing. And because it doesn't take, I don't need to know much more than just give me a market to research, because if you're joining a brokerage, right, they probably have an idea of what market they want to go. So give them a market, and within a weekend, within a day, you can have all this information, and then study it and learn it and get better at it. I wish someone would have kind of laid this out before me, when I was getting started. So I hope this is all helpful for you.
All right, we got 15 minutes left in today's power hour. So let's see what other video we can get rolling. Ooh, logbooks explained. This is a good one if you're buying it, especially if you're buying a private jet. The original music.
Welcome to the Jet Life Podcast, pulling back the curtain on private aviation
so
you can live that jet life to the fullest. Whether you're looking to charter a jet or own a jet, my name's Tom Lelio, and I'm your ultimate jet guide. Now on to the show. Hello and welcome everybody to the Jet Life Podcast. My name is Tom Lelio, and today we're going to be talking about logbooks. We're going to be talking about logbooks and maintenance. I just got back from a preliminary visual inspection where I was traveling with a buyer to a plane that I had listed. And actually, I did it twice. Did it once on Thursday and once yesterday. And what an experience with the logbooks. Okay. And there are just a lot of lessons that were learned that I wanted to bring to you and share with you. So let's get started talking about logbooks, maintenance, and pretty much everything you're going to want to know when you're going into looking to buy your next jet.
Direction did not work.
What
up, Chuck?
Going on. So, number one, let's talk about this idea of digital logbooks versus the actual logbook. So, for a lot of aircraft, we're going to have the logbooks available digitally, and they're through different platforms, basically. And one of the platforms could be an Excel spreadsheet. It could be a platform like Sierra Tracks or JSSI maintenance tracking. It could be SESCOM. And it's very important to kind of keep in mind what you're getting when you're using the different platforms. Obviously, with an Excel spreadsheet, it's really up to the person who's doing it to be honest and to make sure that's tracked really, really well.
Some shops also have their own proprietary system that they swear by, so you're going to want to be mindful of that. And the other thing is, when it comes to the subscriptions, there's different pricing points. And so some people will choose certain subscriptions just based on how much it's going to cost. The gold standard is your Camp SESCOM maintenance tracking report. And the reason for that is whenever something needs to be put into the logbooks, the mechanic has to sign off on it and then send it to an analyst or send it to someone at Camp SESCOM, and they verify that it was done. And then it's the analyst at camp that actually puts it into the camp system. And so it's kind of a checks and balances thing where the mechanic says he did something, camp confirms that he does something, and then it goes into the tracking software so that what you read is pretty accurate. Also, obviously a lot of the older jets, the 70s, 80s, and 90s, those maintenance report, those logs can be put into these different tracking systems, and the companies will charge you accordingly to upload all that stuff into the cloud. So just, you want to be mindful before you even head out, ask for the digital logbooks, and they might be scanned in. So if it's a really older plane or a piston or something like that, they might be scanned logbooks so that you can go through them. It could be an Excel spreadsheet. It could be something like Sierra Tracks that's, a step above a spreadsheet, because, you're able to filter things, you're able to find things, you're able to organize the reports, so that it's easy to read. So you might get a Sierra Tracks report from the owner that you.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining us today. People, we really do appreciate it. We'll be catching you later.